from the 22 News Broadcast Center. This is a Decision 2015 special program. Today, the Greenfield Mayoral Debate. And now, here's Rich Tettemer.
Good afternoon. 22 News is working for you as we let the candidates you'll see on the ballot on Tuesday, November 3rd, debate the issues. Today, it's the candidates running for mayor of Greenfield. Incumbent Mayor William Martin is challenged by Patty Morey Walker. This is a Lincoln-Douglas-style debate where the candidates will ask each other the questions with time for answers and rebuttal. First, each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement. And Mayor Martin, you go first.
Thank you, and good day, and welcome to this debate. Thank you for caring enough to spend your time here deciding your choice for mayor of Greenfield. I would also like to thank the sponsors for allowing us this forum to express our agenda. As a member of this audience, I urge you to listen carefully for substance and facts over style and promises. My name is Bill Martin, and I have served the city known as the town of Greenfield as mayor since 2009. As a lifelong resident of Greenfield, I have served in elected and appointed positions on the Planning Board, Housing and Redevelopment Authorities, as Town Councilor, and as Mayor. As a veteran and small business owner, my leadership skills, initiatives, and experience are well documented and visible. As a town, Greenfield has weathered large revenue losses from the state, but maintained our services and programs with budgets through innovation and by developing new revenue centers separate from the property taxpayer. We have elevated the status of our small city with hundreds of millions of dollars of private and public investment that have created jobs, expanded the tax base, and positioned Greenfield as the next best place to raise a family and invest in business.
Thank you. Patty Morey Walker, your opening statement, please.
Hello there. My name is Patty Morey Walker, and I am proud to be offering the voters of Greenfield a choice in this upcoming mayoral election. I live in Greenfield with my partner and our children. I have a background in both the public and private sectors. I led a city department in Boston where I managed a multi-million-dollar budget and worked closely with unions, management, and employees. I have started and run my own business in this Commonwealth. I have also held elected office as a neighborhood councilor. I served in the Finance Committee in Conway. Having chose Greenfield as my home, I look forward to utilizing my past experience to strengthen our community. I am seeking to bring a fresh and innovative voice to the mayor's office. I am unencumbered by any political ties. I look to promote a more transparent government that is both compassionate and responsive to its residents. I look forward to sharing more about the issues in this forum. Thank you.
Now, once again, this is a Lincoln-Douglas-style debate where each candidate will have 30 seconds to ask a question. There will be 60 seconds to answer, then 30 seconds for rebuttal. We did a coin flip before the debate began, and Patty gets to ask the first question.
Thank you. Mayor, this is a predominantly white community. However, the racial demographics are shifting. What ways have you used your leadership to support the increasingly diverse population of Greenfield?
Yes, Franklin County has approximately 92 to 93% white population, has for several centuries. We have the opportunity to diversify our hiring policies, which we have done, and we've always hired the best, most credible applicant. There have been no discretionary or discriminatory accusations brought before the town or any other body that I know of.
Rebuttal?
Thank you. You know, for me specifically, I would really want to prepare the majority for the minority, because that minority population is indeed growing. And there are very effective groups that are in town: Racial Justice Rising, Black Lives Matter, and I think as a leader it would be important for me to reach out to those communities, to those organizations, to make sure that they are welcomed and an important, integral part of our community. Thank you.
Mayor Martin, your first question, please.
Several years ago, I committed to John Zahn and the Council of Aging that a senior center was the highest priority for the town. Would you break that commitment to the seniors and waste all the progress made? My existing plan seeks an economy of scale and use by planning a multi-use senior center that will benefit many groups in our community. What is your alternative to the strategy I have planned?
Well, frankly, I don't have an alternative if indeed there is a plan to move forward with that. I have said since the beginning of my campaign that I would make it a priority to make sure that a senior center is going to be built here. You did announce that the Davis Street site, the current site of the school administration building, is where you would put that senior center. However, at an Economic Development Committee meeting last week, you said that maybe that wouldn't be the place and you weren't quite sure. More importantly, however, you did say that you are not sure how this would be paid for. And so that is much of a concern to me, as it is, I'm sure, to our seniors. So the question actually could go back to you is, do you really have a solid plan to build this center? And if so, where is this money coming from to make sure that it would be in place, as you said it would be, by the summer of 2016?
The town council had appropriated $100,000 for site acquisition over 10 years ago for a senior center. It hasn't been acted upon, and there's been no progress made. Recently, the town council approved $150,000 for activity to be moved on the senior center, and I had planned 2 years ago to seek design funds which were approved for a design of the senior center. The Davis Street site is actually the first site approved 10 years ago, and they've worked their way back with the appointed members of the senior center.
Ms. Morey Walker, your next question, please.
Thank you. Mayor, the lack of voter turnout implies apathy on the part of Greenfield residents. Why do you think that is, and what have you done to enhance voter engagement?
Well, I meet with the town council once a month, and I meet with a number of subcommittees every day, usually Monday through Friday anyways, and we have a lot of activity initiatives going on in town, public hearings, open forums, and a lot of media publicity on all the activities of the town government. Can we have any impact on the participation of the residents? I don't know. I think the last percentage you quoted, there were no races, there were some empty seats, and I think the activity for contested seats when the citizens come out to participate in government, and we have over 250 volunteers in our town government now, will show itself. I'm sure this year will be over 50%.
Rebuttal.
Well, I actually think that we do play an important role to make sure that voters do get out. From what I've been hearing, voters have been feeling disengaged, disconnected from their government, not sure of where their money's being spent, what's actually going on. I would make it my priority to have a transparent government, to make sure that no major decisions from the city are major surprises to our residents. And I think if people are connected to their government, they will indeed come out to vote.
Mayor Martin, your next question, please.
I agree with you that property taxes should not increase. When asked by the Valley Advocate where you would spend an extra $100,000, you said the Recreation Department. With our limited budget and various needs, why is that department your top priority?
Well, more specifically, I said I would use that money if it was indeed there, and it couldn't be used to help relieve taxpayer burden, that I would use it to hire a youth commissioner and bring back the youth center, which you eliminated in your administration. I think with the current heroin problem that we have and all of the other temptations that children have and youth have in our community, that we need more places for our youth instead of less. So that's another thing that I've been saying since the beginning of my campaign, is that I want to bring back a youth center as a first step in giving more opportunity to the youth. I would love also to see our skate park come back, and would love to work with those advocates that are out there that are working hard to do that, to try to make that a reality.
We clearly have different approaches to the youth in our community. The Rec Department has a revolving account on top of its budget of $140,000. My emphasis has been on classrooms, not skate parks. My focus has been on family recreation, team sports, and education. During my administration, parks and playground equipment have been upgraded and replaced. The town has purchased 5 ball fields. $60 million was spent on the new high school, and all other schools have been upgraded and rehabilitated. The town is upgrading Veterans Field, studying Highland Park, and been named a Playful City 5 times.
Patty, your next question, please.
Thank you. Union workers, as you said yourself, have seen little or no cost of living increase. Describe how this is reflective of investing in individuals and families who choose to live in and serve Greenfield.
I don't think you can have both sides of the fork there. You talk about too much money in the budget, and then you talk about not giving increases to municipal employees. Let me say that when I was first elected in 2009, we had a great loss of revenue from the state. I requested from the employees in town and the unions to participate in a little bit of waste tightening on expenses, and they allowed themselves to and agreed to take 0 and very 1.5% increases in the annual pay increases. Now we have come out of that funk, and we have developed large surpluses and revenues, and certified free cash. And now, as I promised, we're sharing it with the unions during these current negotiations, of which 10 or 11 have approved of so far.
So in your video statement, you said that this is something that union workers have to endure, and I'm sure that they have had to endure such a situation where they're not getting an increase for cost of living. The question was, how is this reflective of investing in individuals? And my approach would be to make a priority to invest in the people and the people who work for the town, to make sure that they are living satisfactorily with their families, taking care of their homes, and spending more money in Greenfield, which will only help the economy.
Mayor Martin, your next question, please.
I participated in the rezoning of the French King Highway area from industrial to commercial over a decade ago to provide an expansion of the tax base, jobs, and shopping choices for the residents of Franklin County. This rezoning was approved by the council and the voters. What qualifications do you have to offer that level of engagement for additional growth in town, or offer any alternatives for growth areas?
Thank you for the question. I actually have started a business myself in this Commonwealth, so I know how to develop economically in that regard. For the past several years, I have traveled around this country trying to convince C-level executives to spend millions of dollars in the product that I was proposing to them. And the way that I did that was to go to them and find out what their needs are, and then come back to them with the product and saying, this is how the product is going to meet those needs. And that is the experience that I would like to transfer into the city in enticing business to come to Greenfield by reaching out to them, letting them know how Greenfield will best serve their needs, and then getting the deal done. I will also do that with the help of a full-time, experienced economic development officer with experience in both economic development and in marketing, and rely also on the economic development team that we have in the city today.
I have started businesses in Greenfield. I had Record Town on Main Street for 10 years. I started the first congregate housing facility in Massachusetts, and just sold it a couple years ago after owning it and running it with my family for 43 years. I've done the business part. I've been a real estate developer, packager. I produce housing in Greenfield, businesses in Greenfield. I think it's a well-rounded point that business will come to Greenfield when you substantiate the incentives and provide for the infrastructure.
Okay, candidates, we're halfway home. How about that? We're going to take a short 2-minute break right now, and then more questions and answers for the candidates running for mayor of Greenfield. You're watching 22 News. Welcome back to the debate between the candidates running for mayor of Greenfield. Incumbent Mayor William Martin is challenged by Patty Morey Walker. They're in the middle of a Lincoln-Douglas-style debate where the candidates ask each other the questions with time for answers and rebuttal. And Patty Morey Walker, you have the next question.
Thank you. Expanded Learning Time Initiative is a program that enables schools to significantly expand the hours and days in their school schedules. The longer school schedules enable each school to improve student achievement, as well as to motivate and engage students. The state provides a grant for this program. The school committee voted unanimously to go for this free money, except for you. You did not support it. Why is that?
Grant money isn't free money, it's taxpayer money, and I don't ever sign a grant application that is filled out. This was a blank application. We had trouble with and issues with DESE about the previous ELT grant over the past couple of years, so I was not going to sign that grant application until we had communication from DESE as to our penalties. ELT has been on the agenda for the school committee for several years, and in the very beginning it was voted by the school committee that ELT grant shall not transfer to the operating budget, and that also has to be a part of any agreement.
Rebuttal?
And it did indeed get passed, which is a good thing. It has been in the schools now, and it is a good thing that it will be continuing. There was some concern that the reason you voted against it would be that it increased teacher salaries and thus increased their retirement. As someone who cares very much about our aging population, the senior center, and also our retirement, this is something I would have gladly voted for.
Mayor Martin, your next question, please.
Yes, Franklin County has been around for over 300 years, and Greenfield has been the capital of Franklin County for over 200 of those years. We are the crossroads of Western Mass. You keep saying you want a more vibrant downtown, where I have focused on downtown, and from 2009, when I first ran, I had stated that this was going to be a strength that we need to make stronger. What exactly would you do as mayor to make that happen?
Well, I commend you for bringing in businesses, Mayor, to the downtown. Unfortunately, we still have businesses that are turning over too quickly down there. And we also have too many empty storefronts at the current time. I would like to do direct marketing to businesses that would specifically address certain demographics in our community. I think that the downtown currently has wonderful shops, wonderful restaurants, but also lacks certain shops that will attract more of our younger people, more of the teenage youth in our community. My kids are of teenage age, and they don't hang out downtown because there's not much for them to do. I see the Deerfield students being dropped off, the Northfield Mount Herman students being dropped off. If we had more for them, like a Faces from Northampton, something like that, that would attract them, I think they'd be spending more money, more folks would be coming down, and I also think more for younger children would be good as well.
It's not the position of government to work in such a way as solicit businesses, but to provide an environment where businesses can do their business in town. So infrastructure, financing, tax incentive financing, those are the type of opportunities that attract the businesses. We cannot go out and target a demographic and expect that demographic to be satisfied by private business.
Patty Morey Walker, your next question, please.
I think I'm going to follow up on that because I disagree. I think we can target businesses, and I also think, and I agree also, that the correct processes that make it very smooth for a business to come in and do business, it's what's very important. There's a recent business owner that came into town and opened an amazing art space. Unfortunately, she was given a multi-$100 fine. She went to the town hall and she said, "What is this fine for?" She was told that it was for not submitting a profit and loss statement
for
question? 2014.
Question?
Yes. The question is that she did not submit this for, she did not own the business in 2014. How can you say we're welcoming to business when somebody like that, who's opening such a wonderful place, is being fined?
We have over $300 million in construction right now. There's a number of businesses that have come into town. We're a green community. We have a stretch energy code, and our building codes are equal to all stretch energy and green communities in the state. So I don't know the particular issue with your friend, but I do know that a number of businesses are able to navigate the regulations and the processes within town to accommodate their specific needs as well as receive all of their permits.
I think there's a lot of cumbersome processes that are going on currently, and I would use my management experience to make sure that, as CEO of the city, which is what the job of the mayor is, to make sure that my company, which is city departments and managers, run like clockwork to serve our customers, which are the constituents, residents, businesses, and visitors of Greenfield.
Mayor Martin, your next question, please.
You have no record of participating in civic life in Greenfield and a history of not meeting your leadership responsibilities in the past. As a member of the Conway Finance Committee in 2010, your absence caused meetings to be canceled or continued without a quorum. I attend committee and subcommittee meetings nearly every evening. Why should voters trust that you will change so dramatically?
I think that my leadership record stands for itself. It's actually well documented, the leadership that I had in the city of Boston. There are articles currently out on my website where you can read how that has been documented. As far as the town of Conway and missing meetings, I'm not sure where you're getting your information. I take very seriously my commitments to the town and to the businesses I've been in. I've also been a softball coach here in Greenfield. One of the best learning experiences I've had in my life is working with youth. I started a girls group in Boston when I was there for troubled youth, and I still am in touch with those girls today. I also, like I said, coached softball in Northampton and in Greenfield. You'll also see me at as many community events as this town does have to offer, talking to people, interacting, at all the wonderful things that are going on civically in our town.
I get that information about the lack of quorums and continuing meetings from the minutes of those meetings. But I want to say that I think we've all, when you're engaged in your community, you participate. You coach baseball like I have, basketball like I have, girls and boys, both type of activities. And then you become involved in the whole idea of making the strength of your community a community by participating and planning. So as mayor and CEO, I have done that enormously in a number of different areas, as evidenced by the activities of the rec department and all of the activities that occur downtown.
Patty, you have a chance for one more question.
One more, is that what you said? Mm-hmm. Thank you. In a 2009 debate, you were presented a scenario of what you would do if a business owner called the mayor's office and complained that people were hanging outside of their business and potentially affecting customers. Your answer was actually a good one. You said that if there are people hanging out, they're probably kids, and what we need is more activities for kids. Despite that answer, right after you got elected, you eliminated the youth commissioner in town and closed down the youth center. Why would you say one thing during a campaign and do another and close down the youth center?
Well, we had, if you recall, that was the 9C cuts by the state in 2009 caused us to reassess not only our budget reduction, but to also look for consolidation of footprint for municipal offices. The underutilized building on Sanderson Street was the obvious choice to move into some of the municipal offices, and the unhealthy condition of the annex, which is now demolished, we had to move our employees out of there. There was no youth commissioner, there was a youth director. We spend over $17 million a year on the schools, over $100 million in the time I've been mayor on youth activities from K through 18 and 12th grade. We've also did a research study on the number of activities that youth have available to them in Greenfield, and it is enormous. And when I just appointed the Youth Commission recently, I've asked them to find out the niche, the gap in those particular services, and see where we can assist any youth or other activities that might be beneficial.
Rebuttal?
In fact, the Youth Commission did do that study, and you were looking for overlapping services. And the fact is that there weren't any. There were several gaps. What we pay for schools is what we pay for schools. That is a given. We do educate our schools during the school year and during the school day. My concern is what happens to kids after school. Do we support enough our after-school programs? Do we have alternatives for kids other than being in school? What about those kids that don't participate in sports? I'm lucky enough to have a son that does, but I'd be so concerned if he didn't. What is going on for them? And the youth center, and that space still is available, would be a wonderful thing for them.
Okay, time now for closing statements for our candidates. Each candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement, and by rule of the coin flip, Patty Morey Walker will go first. Patty?
Thank you. Thank you to the mayor for this discussion, and thank you to Channel 22 News for hosting this important event. I'm glad to have my opportunity to get my message out there. This election is on November 3rd, and I am asking for your vote. Past municipal elections in Greenfield have produced very low voter turnout. I encourage you to let your voice be heard. There are major differences between the current mayor and myself, and so there is a choice to be made. I want Greenfield to thrive in education, business, and community. I think I can provide an innovative leadership and energy to make that happen. So please, get out and vote on November 3rd at the Greenfield High School. You can learn more about me on my Facebook page and also my website, electpattymorey.com. I would greatly appreciate your support. Thank you.
Mayor Martin, your closing statement, please.
Since 2009, I have served as your mayor and have worked with the community to make the difficult choices necessary to stabilize the budget while maintaining essential services and improving our schools and public buildings. I've been instrumental in leading both public and private entities to invest large sums of money in our community in the form of grants and private investment exceeding over $300 million. During my term, we have also been designated a green community, written a sustainable master plan with the community's dreams for the future, been designated a playful city, and brought train service to Greenfield. As an effort to clear the air and to correct your statement in The Advocate, I'd never said that I supported the pipeline. This debate gives you the opportunity to examine each candidate's record of public service and leadership ability. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished together. I have so many more ideas to make our town the best it can be, and I look forward to continuing as your mayor. Thank you for your past support, and I hope you will vote to allow me to continue to lead this special place. Thank you.
That concludes our look at the candidates running for mayor of Greenfield. Our thanks to Mayor William Martin and Patty Morey Walker for participating today. Don't forget, Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. If you missed any of today's debate, you can always watch it again on our website at wwlp.com. I'm Rich Tettemer. Thanks for joining us. Have a good afternoon.